Coming up on City Spotlight, another episode in Season 10 featuring two communities. First, it's our first trip to Mount Zion on City Spotlight, as we talk with Mount Zion Village Administrator Julie Miller. Julie gives us an overview of Mount Zion's economic development and public works. Then, we head down the road to Sullivan, as we talk with Laurrie Minor of the Sullivan Chamber Economic Development and John Stevens, executive producer of the Little Theater on the Square, as we catch up on the latest in Sullivan, public works, economic development, and the impact of the Little Theater on the Square on Sullivan. We continue Season 10 on location, featuring two communities, Mount Zion and Sullivan, next on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we're on location once again here in Season 10. Another episode featuring two communities. And we're going to start in this first segment, a first-time taping in Mount Zion. Yes, we've made our way back up to Macon County, another community on City Spotlight from Macon County. And we are pleased to help us out in this first segment, talking about Mount Zion, the village administrator in Mount Zion, Julie Miller. Julie, great to have you on.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. We're taping here at Village Hall on April 1st. There's no April Fool's joke here. We're taping on April 1st here in Mount Zion for our first time, talking Mount Zion on City Spotlight. We look forward to getting an overview from Julie, who she has told me has many years in the community. So we look forward to sharing her knowledge of the community on City Spotlight. But Julie, you're a first-time guest on the program. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Julie Miller, and I've been the village administrator here since 2012. Before that, I was the village treasurer from 98 to 2012, and then before that I was just a regular employee, secretary, receptionist, so 31 plus years. I started as a student worker, so I've been here my whole entire career. I grew up here. I'm a Mount Zion grad. I graduated from Richland Community College and Millikan University, so I know Mount Zion, and I know the area very well. So,
not to use one of those cliches, through and through, you know the community because it is your hometown.
That's correct.
What is that like to work and you're a village administrator? You were just meeting someone before we hit the record button. What's that like to work and help lead this community that is home for you?
It's really rewarding because I know most of the people here. I either grew up with them, or I went to school with their children, or I went to school with them. Mm-hmm. So it's one big family. I mean, we're small enough, but yet we're big enough. Mm-hmm. I don't know everybody, but I do know a lot of people. Right. And so it's very rewarding when I get to help people deal with their day-to-day concerns for what that local government should be helping them handle. Right. Whether it's neighbors, whether it's something about their home, or just they have ideas for the community. Mm-hmm. It's very rewarding to be able to help people and to be able to listen to people and be able to make this a place that they're proud of.
Fantastic. Glad to be talking with Julie Miller as we talk our first segment here on Mount Zion here on City Spotlight. So let's start with the obvious location for Mount Zion. We're Macon County, and you have your location puts you near Decatur, south of Decatur, and you have an Illinois route that helps traverse a lot of commuters back and forth to Mount Zion.
Yes. We consider ourselves kind of a bedroom community to Decatur. Mm-hmm. We don't have a really big daytime population. Most of the people here work in Decatur, Springfield, Champaign. Wow. A lot of people, work in a lot of different areas around here. We don't have a lot of industry. We do have Fuyao, which is just right outside of our city limits. Correct. Which is
on the west side?
Right on the west side. They butt right up to us. They're not in the village, but they're right next to us.
Right.
My father actually was employed there and retired from Fuyao when it was PPG. So We do consider them part of our community. I mean, they're right here. So we don't have a lot of industry. And we have a bunch of small businesses. So we do have some people who live and work here, like myself, or we have other people who commute here from into Decatur or around the Long Creek area. So really, we consider ourselves a bedroom community, Decatur. They need us, we need them, kind of scenario. So to me, we're just one big community here in Macon County.
We're going to talk about your economic development, and as it's very noticeable when you traverse to Mount Zion from whatever direction, and it is Route 121 that has a lot of traffic because you have multiple lanes on both sides and a lot of businesses. We'll talk about that. What is that like? You are a community just to the south of a much bigger city. How has that helped Mount Zion through the years? You obviously have mentioned that you are from this community. Is there positives to being just to the south of a bigger community?
I think so. I think people, when they're looking for a place that they want to come home at night and they want to be away from the hustle and the bustle and the noise or the traffic, or it's more rural. They feel it's quieter. Saturdays and the weekends and Sundays, it's quiet. They can mow. You see people mowing the grass, and it's just quiet. And I think people like that. Some people don't. People want to live in the city and they like the noise and the hustle and bustle, but a lot of people don't. So I think that's an advantage for us. 121 is been really positive for economic development for us. We have a TIF district that we just created a couple years ago, and it basically goes down both sides of 121. So we've seen a lot of interest. We've seen some new development, as you can see outside the building here and out here on 121. We're sitting here in Village Park East, and that was developed around 2011. That's when this part of the development went in.
This is right next to Village Hall is the convention center. Those look relatively modern.
Yeah, 2011 is when it was all constructed, along with some of the businesses right outside and some of the development on the north and south sides.
Beautiful.
Then Village Park West, which is on the other side of the highway across the street. That is all brand new and was just developed this last summer. So there's some new businesses in there, some new restaurants, insurance agencies, there's a salon and spa, there's several other different things. There's a few little spaces available still from the developer, but then there's another residential development behind it, a 55 and older. We have two fairly new 55 and older communities. One of them is completely full, and so that's why they've started on the second one. Everyone's wanting to age in place, and which is great for our communities, as they want to stay here and they want to continue to live here and be near their grandchildren and be able to participate in all those things over at the school and the sports, and so it's kind of nice. So we're working on building that residential availability for people who don't want to mow their grass and do that sort of thing. What a retired life that would be, not to have to mow the grass anymore.
Just for a second, I want to don't mean to cut you off, but I just kind of information for myself and our viewers that are watching this. When you travel through Mount Zion and you get closer up to Route 36, this is more just kind of an informational question. Where is the cutoff? What is Mount Zion? Where is Decatur? Because you have all those businesses right as 121 buds up against 36. Where's the cutoff?
That's all Decatur. So we don't start until Ashland and Wildwood. So so there's a section in there, probably about a mile and a half, that's actually Long Creek. So there's another kind of a community. It's Macon County, Long Creek area between them and us, and so it's about 2 miles up the street to where you're going to find the serious big commercial, your Walmart and the McDonald's and your big drivers.
I was just curious all the times that I've traveled to Decatur, to Mount Zion, and I just wondered where the cutoff was. I'm sure I've seen the sign, but just my intrigue.
Yeah, they call it, it's Mount Zion Road, all the way up to 36, and so a lot of people just assume and it's Mount Zion, and even the McDonald's calls themselves the Mount Zion McDonald's.
Really?
They have it embroidered on their jackets, but it's Mount Zion Road. It's actually City of Decatur. We would love to have them in Mount Zion. That would be fantastic from an economic development standpoint, and from the sales tax dollars and that sort of thing. But I'm sure that they're, including myself and most of the people that live here, we all frequent the McDonald's up there on the corner.
As many people do. Mount Zion is a village. Maybe some people overlook that when they're driving through. Obviously, your water tower says that, but there's a different distinction of city and village, but Mount Zion is a village.
Yep, we were incorporated in 1881, so we've been around for a while. The boom happened in the 70s. That's when the housing market took off here, and they issued so many building permits in the 70s, it was kind of crazy. Now we have more modest growth. We still had more building permits residentially than any of the other communities in Macon County, so we're still growing. We grew in the last census to over 6,000, so we're growing, and we're proud of that. And we try to keep it. We try to keep our property taxes as low as possible. It's difficult in this day and age to do that, but we try to do the best that we can to manage the dollars that we get from our residents and keep it as low as possible, so we can keep that interest in commercial development and in residential growth too.
Kind of going out of order here, I was going to talk public works first, but since we're talking economic development mostly here in the beginning, you just have a lot of, I would characterize them as little to medium-sized businesses all up and down Route 21. Talk about having that variety of economic development and businesses in the community.
It's actually been fantastic for us over the years. Back in the recession in 2008, and even in 2014, when we had some dips in different things, and during COVID, actually, when things were closed, and a lot of big communities suffered because they lost the revenue from the sales tax dollars, we weren't impacted that much. We don't have that one big anchor. We didn't lose a car dealership because we never had a car dealership, where a lot of communities lost car dealerships, and they lost big industries that brought a lot of revenue and provided a lot of jobs. Our mom and pop type businesses, they have sustained us over the years, and we try to make sure that people realize that they're there and that we shop at them locally and that we support them, because they've really sustained us and kept our revenues that we depend on to be very steady and constant, and we just make do with what we have too.
Fantastic. Kind of an overview of Mount Zion on this first episode. Since we're featuring two communities, we'll talk more in detail the next time we come back and talk with Julie and hopefully Mayor Williams next time. Glad to have Julie on the first time to talk about Mount Zion. Let's talk about your public works. Any notable public works projects that have been completed recently that are worth mentioning?
The biggest one we did was our splash pad at Fletcher Park. That finished up. Last year was our first summer of the full summer of doing that.
That is huge for a community to add something like that.
We wanted something that our residents, and even residents right outside Mount Zion, could come and enjoy. It's free. We don't charge anything. It's open from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Fletcher Park is a beautiful park. It was built originally around 2009 in conjunction with Mount Zion Township. So Mount Zion Township actually owned the land that the park is on, but didn't have the money to develop the park.
Right.
They donated the land. We had the money to build the park. So that's where Fletcher Park came from. It was a great joint cooperative between two government entities that you don't often see very often, to be frank. But it's been fantastic. And so we have the splash pad. We just redid our tennis courts. We're going to be doing a rededication coming up here soon in the next couple weeks. And there's also a fishing pond. You can fish out there.
Wow.
There's amphitheater. We've had entertainment there sometimes. We have our 4th of July celebration there. There's just always a lot of people and a lot going on. There's walking paths. There's a rec center that can be rented for baby showers and birthday parties. And we have weddings out there all summer long. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful park.
Talk about what we have learned on this program and other things that we do on WEIU, quality of life in communities. And certainly when you have a park, even with basic things in it, but all the things that you just listed, what does that do for Mount Zion moving forward to have such an avenue? As you mentioned, all the things that happen there, it makes people want to stay here.
Yes, it does. People, they like to travel and go do things, but everybody can't afford to go on 5 vacations a summer. So they can do things right here in their community that don't cost them a whole lot, and stay right here, and then go get their ice cream at the local Crackles and get their favorite, take a picnic out to the park. It's been a game changer. We've had a lot of people that come outside the area to come to the splash pad too, because it's not super crowded, like in a bigger city where you have, just a lot more population around it. So it's been really fantastic, and we get a lot of positive feedback. Our walking trails, we have over 3 miles of walking trails within Mount Zion, and they are used daily, all day long. Rain, snow, you always see people on bikes and walking on the bike trails.
Some real troopers.
Yes. So quality of life is huge, especially when people are looking for things to do in their leisure time.
And you name drop Crackle, certainly a destination for Mount Zion to have that old school feel burger joint.
Yes.
And I have consumed a few burgers and Crackles in my day.
Yeah, me too. And milkshakes.
Yes, absolutely. Look forward to talking Mount Zion schools on a future episode here on City Spotlight. And hope to get Dr. Roundcount to talk about the schools here down the road. But recent excitement with the community. We're taping here on April 1st, but just a few weeks back, Mount Zion boys basketball team had a tremendous run. I was there for the semifinal game in Champaign. Might show a few clips while we're talking about it. But what does that do from the community pride standpoint to have one of your local athletic teams? It's obviously K through 12, the high school team, whether it be boys or girls, to have a season like that. Talk about the excitement in the community with what happened with the Mount Zion boys basketball team.
Oh, it was wonderful. And as a Mount Zion alum, go Braves. Very excited. If we couldn't go to the game, we were trying to watch it, streaming it, trying to get there.
Right.
It was fantastic. I think it really brings a big sense of pride back to the community. And even people like myself who don't have any kids left in the school district still had me rooting for them, still had people excited about it. The buzz, it was all over social media, the buzz for the team. And I think as an alumni and just as a local resident, or even parents who have kids that are young and growing up into it, I know some of the younger kids were so excited. They were so proud of those boys and all that they did, and they were great role models for the younger kids coming up through the community that, you know, try, succeed.
Well, I had firsthand seen the basketball team in person. I do the Charleston boys basketball games on the radio, so this was my third or fourth time seeing the Mount Zion boys basketball team in person. Congratulations on their fourth place finish in Class 3A. Only 3 losses on the season. What a tremendous accomplishment. And little sports nugget, you guys are going to be good next year, too.
Yes, they're young. I was just going to say, I don't think we only graduated maybe one senior starter, and all the rest are sophomores, juniors this year. So, yeah, I can't wait for next year.
I think the sports terminology is loaded.
Yeah, it's going to be great next year, too.
So great talking Mount Zion for the first time here on City Spotlight. We, again, look forward to talking schools down the road, but Julie able to answer a little question about the recent success of the boys basketball team and other things going on in the community of Mount Zion. Julie Miller, Village Administrator in Mount Zion. Julie, thank you for giving us an overview of the community. We look forward to learning more down the road.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And coming up next here on City Spotlight, we'll change locations and communities as we catch up on the latest going on in Sullivan. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in the communities of Mount Zion and Sullivan. And we're back here on City Spotlight. As promised, we've changed locations, traveled down Route 21 to the south from Mount Zion, and we are back in Sullivan. Yes, we're back here in Sullivan on Season 10 of City Spotlight. We taped about a year ago. We talked Sullivan Schools, the new Moultrie County History Center, the last time we taped in Sullivan in Season 9. So we're back here in Sullivan for this second part of this Two Community episode, and we are pleased to welcome back to the program, first of all, Laurrie Minor, Executive Director of the Sullivan Chamber and Economic Development. Laurrie, great to have you back on.
Thanks for coming back.
Excellent. And first time interviewing here on City Spotlight, John Stevens, Executive Producer of the Little Theater on the Square. John, pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
I said it that way because we have had John on City Spotlight. Back in an earlier episode of City Spotlight, an episode on Sullivan, we had a feature that had John talking about the Little Theater on the Square. It was an elongated version of his story from the Sullivan This Is Our Story program. So great to have John back, but in person here.
Absolutely.
And John is a first-time guest, so we're going to let John tell us a little bit about himself, please.
Well, I have been in Sullivan for 18 years now, getting ready to start my 19th season at the Little Theater on the Square. I've been the executive director for 16 of those years, executive producer, excuse me, for 16 of those years. I don't even know my own title. It's changed so many times. But I do everything from the hiring, the picking of the shows, meeting with the public, doing fundraising, marketing, all those things, sometimes cleaning the toilet at the Little Theater on the Square. And love everything that I get to do and the amazing people and the over 45,000 patrons a year that I get to interact with.
We're going to talk about the Little Theater at the end of, save that the best for last,
Great.
I guess, at the very end of this segment. Laurrie, this is a new venue to taping with you, the last time I taped with you, and you're now previous mayor, Richard Glazebrook. We taped at a different location to the south of here.
Yes.
My direction's correct. Tell us about this new location for you here, just off Main.
We actually left our old location because what we do for a job is progress, and our old office is going to be demolished and a new building is going to be built there.
Okay.
So that's great investment in our downtown. So we moved to this new office, which we love this space. It's right across from McDonald's, right on the main drag, so we get more traffic, and the space works out really well for us.
It is a wide open space. People may not see it from our camera shots, but when I walked in, this is a lot of room to maneuver around, and you have a nice big meeting table there, so it looks like it's working out quite well for you. All right, let's catch up on what's going on in Sullivan. And Laurrie, there's a lot going on the north end of town before we talk about businesses, but new high school being kind of renovated, however you want to word that, and Wyman Park has had some work recently. That northern part of Sullivan is really transforming.
Yes, so the school, the new high school is being built, so it's
and that doesn't happen
no,
every
it doesn't.
decade.
There's some walls actually you can see being built now, which is
Right.
exciting. I'm not sure when the kids will get to go to school, but I think my son, who will be a freshman next year, will eventually get to go to the new school.
Right.
The parks is really exciting. We've been able to receive 2 OSLAD grants. So the first one is for a splash pad, new basketball courts, pickleball, tennis courts, and some walking paths. That is all supposed to open July 4th of this year.
Fantastic.
So that's really exciting for us here. For the park. And then we just received another phase of OSLAD, which will do updates to our ball fields. There'll be new parking lots, all accessible, a walking path on part of our pond, and some other things to help with conservation. There'll be some bat houses and some habitats in the pond for turtles and frogs and that kind of stuff. So we're super excited about it. We've actually received some Lumpkin grants, and we started a tree nursery to replace trees back into the park system because our trees are older, right? And we were able to plant some trees and then do some erosion mitigation along Asa Creek. So we've been doing a lot of work around here.
If you've not been down there at the park, both of Wyman
We'll be
Park
having video while we're talking about this.
is fantastic.
I'm looking forward to getting it.
It's really a great walking path. It's so safe. It's well lit throughout it. The paths are really clearly marked, and I mean it's one of the gems of Sullivan that people don't always know about.
Yeah.
Had a story on the Sullivan program about Wyman Park. Look forward to seeing the work as we're talking about it. And so both of those places, the high school, the schools, Wyman Park, right across from each other, so very busy on the north end of Sullivan. Laurrie, let's catch up on economic development. I noticed you have a lot of new food vendors that have signed up to probably enjoy the upcoming spring, summer activities. Just go through as many as you want. Recent economic development additions to the community of Sullivan.
Great. Well, for Sullivan, most of our activities down on the south end of town for business development.
Correct.
We've had a cafe, locally owned cafe, coffee shop open. It's really delightful. We eat there all the time. A new lumber yard opened, which is not something you see open every day in the community. We have a couple other prospects of things that are going to be built out there.
The tap house
Yes,
just opened.
yes,
And
we
when you
have
say the southern part of town, you're saying exactly where?
literally the southern city limits, so out on Route 32.
So in that area of the new Moultrie County History Center.
Yes,
Out
yep,
past that
just
way.
past
Yes.
that way.
Very good.
So that area is rapidly growing.
Fantastic.
There's some other, there's new housing out there. The tap house opened, and I hear their pizzas are really amazing there. There's also in that region, but just over to the east, is a new subdivision is going in, which is exciting. 40 lots available for people to build
And if
homes.
my mind serves me correctly, not to interrupt you, is the last time that I had you on, that was, you see the progress, and so Sullivan is developing to the south.
Yes, yeah. And we feel like the development will go to the south because that's where our lake is,
Right.
right? Which that opens soon. We're excited to see all that lake traffic come in. We've got more Airbnbs opening, and 3 million people visit Lake Shelbyville a year. And so
quite
if
a
we
few.
could get some of those people to come up here, that's great. Besides, with the lake and the theater, it's really Sullivan gets busy in the summertime.
John, let's talk about the Little Theater on the Square. Certainly has its hand in drawing people to the Sullivan community. I've seen quite a few shows since the last time, since John told his Sullivan This Is Our Story program, and nearly 70 years old. What can you tell us about the Little Theater on the Square? How is the facility holding up? Let's talk about the physical part.
This is the 20th anniversary of our renovation this year, so we're so excited that we were able to do this $2.5 million renovation of this beautiful space back in 2003, 2004 is when it opened, and so we're happy to be back for our 20th season in this updated facility, but we're constantly making updates. A building that size takes a lot of money to upkeep it, and so we're constantly having to do that and making little changes to, we've added a VIP lounge now that people can rent out and have a private restroom and have beer and wine and snacks and stuff like that before the show and have their own space at intermission. So it's great for parties of like 15 or less, and we've had quite a bit of success in renting that out already. So we've just launched it to the general public, so it's exciting to see that taking hold as a new space for us to use. But we've also got 6 main stage shows coming and 3 shows for kids that just keep people constantly coming through the door at the theater this summer.
Gotta treat these episodes like people may be watching this for the first time and maybe they don't know about the Little Theater. You rolled the number off the top of your tongue when I asked you before we hit the record button, but on average, how many shows do you have a year?
About 123 shows a year that we do.
Does it feel like it?
It feels like about 400 shows a year. We have the summer is so busy with things because we go 9 shows in 12 weeks time, which is only something a crazy person does. So
I was going to use the word insane, so I guess I just said that.
No, I'm happy to own up to it, but we have over 120 employees that come in just for the summer season, and every position is paid position. We are the only professional theater between Chicago and St. Louis in the state of Illinois, and 67 years is nothing to joke about that we've been around for, and keep growing and changing and keeping up with what our audience wants. So we've got a little bit of everything, from family shows to things that are a little bit more drama but still funny, and every age range from 3-year-old to 103 can come in and be entertained by the things that we do.
I may be mistakenly saying the wrong name, but my favorite show I've seen there, I think it was the $1 Million Quartet.
$1 Million Quartet last year.
Thanks to my parents for dragging me out of the house. Yeah. That was worth every cent to see that. That was great.
And it's even a show that like people that may not like theater feel like that they can enjoy because it just takes you out of your world for 2.5 hours. Yeah, I mean, that music is fantastic.
It brings in culture, it brings in people, he's got employees that live here for a whole summer, and people come here to visit. Exposure from all of that, from all over the world, just because of the Little Theater on the Square in Sullivan.
Laurrie Minor, John Stevens, it's been an absolute delight to come back to Sullivan and talk about Sullivan, the Little Theater, everything that's going on. Thank you for updating us on Sullivan.
Thanks.
And that'll do it for our latest City Spotlight episode featuring 2 communities, Mount Zion and Sullivan. Thanks for watching. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.